It's off the tracks. It's Jhett. We are back. NFL draft round 1 is complete. What a draft. Unpredictable. It was crazy. One of the most entertaining drafts that I think I've ever seen. It was a lot of fun for most teams. Other teams, not so much. Room is looking a little bland. I do apologize. Moving out. This was probably the last video that you'll ever see from this dorm room. We continue to move on, though. We're going to grade all of the first-round picks today in the draft. We did this first on our TikTok page. If you're not following us on TikTok already, Off the Tracks on TikTok. That's where you can see these grades first, but we're going to throw them at you now. We're going to start out with the number 1 pick. Carolina Panthers went Bryce Young. I thought that was the clear-cut number 1 pick. I gave it an A+. Like I said, I think it was the clear-cut number 1 pick. There's really no other way you could have went there. Bryce Young is going to be the future of football in Carolina. And I think that Bryce Young is going to do really, really well. Number 2, the Texans take C.J. Stroud. Now, this was a shock to me. It really was. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they obviously had a good quarterback there. Their quarterback's terrible. Quarterback play has not been good since Deshaun Watson. And while that's true, I really thought that C.J. Stroud would get passed on here, and I didn't think the Texans were sold on C.J. Stroud. I gave it a B+. I give it a B+ because I'm not 100% sold on C.J. Stroud as a quarterback. I think his decision-making is going to be really poor in the NFL. I don't know if it's all going to translate. I gave it a B+ for a team that I don't think is going to be very good next year. I think you're going to be picking around the same position, and the quarterback conversation could still be a thing next year if you're picking this high. They make a trade with the Cardinals to move up to 3. Now, when I saw Daniel Jeremiah mock this in his final mock draft yesterday, I thought, that's crazy. That would be unreal if that happened. And it would make me understand the C.J. Stroud pick a little bit more. And they move up to 3 and they go Will Anderson, which I give an A+, because I think Will Anderson's the best player in this draft. I think he is going to transform that Texan defense in year 1, and that's what D'Amico Ryan wants. New head coach over there, new regime in Houston. It's going to be, that defense is going to be underrated this year, I think, and it's going to be because of Will Anderson and what he brings to the table as a pass rusher, as a defender. Going to draw a lot of double teams, going to be able to go off the ball a little bit, and I'm very excited to see how Will Anderson's talent is going to translate to the NFL. For the Colts go Anthony Richardson. It was Richardson or Levis. Levis ultimately didn't even get drafted in the first round, so I gave the Richardson pick a B. I gave the Richardson pick a B simply because as I'm sitting there, I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, this is a franchise quarterback. Do you really want to settle? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying the Colts settled, and I'm not saying that there was another direction the Colts could have went in. There definitely was other directions the Colts could have went in, but quarterback was something that everyone knew they were going with. If Richardson or Stroud was there, even, I could have seen them going Levis at that point in time. Now I look back, and Levis didn't even go in the first round, and that confused me. A lot of things confused me from this first round. But I gave it a B simply because I think Richardson's a project, and I don't think that he has decided on whether or not he's going to be a great NFL player or not. I think he's got the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this draft, but I think his floor could potentially be the lowest floor. A lot of potential with Richardson. This is a real potential pick. I think that it is Gardner Minshew's season in Indianapolis for at least a season, at least one season. Come back next year, see how Richardson's doing. Number 5, the Seahawks went Devin Witherspoon. That was a real shock to me. I thought that was Jalen Carter all the way. I had mocked that in almost every mock draft I had done. I had mocked Jalen Carter to 5, not Devin Witherspoon. This was a realistic pick, though, I think. That secondary is going to be really good now with Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon. No-fly zone in Seattle. I gave it a B+. Looking on it, I might switch to A-, though. Now that I'm looking into how that's going to transform, I'm going to switch it to A-. I switched to A-. Devin Witherspoon, A- at number 5. I don't think he was the best cornerback available. I think Christian Gonzalez is the best cornerback in this draft. I think Christian Gonzalez is the definition of what the cornerback position is transforming into. We'll talk a little bit about Christian Gonzalez a little bit later on in this recap, a little later than I thought we'd be talking about him. But Devin Witherspoon, A- final answer. We move to number 6, and the Cardinals trade back up into the top 6, and they go Paris Johnson at pick 6, and I love this so much for the Cardinals. Gave an A on this pick because it's showing Kyler Murray they're going to go get offensive linemen. They're going to trade up for these guys. They're going to try and win. They were talking last night after the draft that D-Hop is going to stay in Arizona. They're showing that they want to win, and I think that, while they're showing Kyler Murray that they want to win. Kyler Murray has to show the Cardinals that he wants to win as well. And I'm really excited for that Cardinal team. I thought that was a really good pick for the Cardinals. They could have went defense. They could have sat back at 12 and even still gotten a pretty good player, I think. And honestly, at 6 when they traded up, I thought it was Tyree Wilson. I thought they were trading back up for Tyree Wilson because I thought that's where the Lions could have went. Instead, they go the complete opposite side of the ball, and they go Paris Johnson. I must say, I really like that pick a lot for the Cardinals, and I gave him an A. At 7, the Raiders go Tyree Wilson, and I gave that an A+. Tyree Wilson, I thought, had an argument to be the best defensive player in this draft. I thought he had an argument to be better than Will Anderson. He's big, he's long, he gets to the quarterback extremely well. One thing that I've noticed, and maybe it's because he's so big and it just looks like he's moving slow, but he just looks a little slow when rushing the quarterback. I think that's something that maybe I'm wrong on. That's why I'm not an NFL scout. But I really think that Tyree Wilson is going to be an animal. Although the Raiders have had really bad luck with drafting in the last 5-6 years, I think Tyree Wilson can break the curse for the Las Vegas Raiders. Number 8, we had a really interesting pick. A lot of people mocked this. Bijan Robinson to the Falcons at 8. I was surprised, but also wasn't, because I thought they could have went Christian Gonzalez here. I could have even seen Jalen Carter at 8. But Bijan Robinson was ultimately a pick. I gave it a B. And here's why. Bijan Robinson is going to be an explosive player. He might already be a top 10 running back in the league. I think that's a realistic conversation that people can have. He's electric. He's a great person, and I think he's the kind of guy, he's all Falcons' favorite player. In a year, every Falcons fan, Bijan Robinson's going to be your favorite player. He's going to be one of the better fantasy players. He's going to be an electric NFL player. But I gave it a B because I think that the Falcons could have went defense there. Their defense was atrocious last season. It held them back. I thought that they were in positions to win games last season. The defense completely sold. I really would have liked to have seen them go on defense here. But, I mean, going with a luxury player at 8, it's going to be interesting, and I love Bijan Robinson, so I hope that he does absolutely well. At number 9, the Eagles move up 1 pick to go Jalen Carter at 9, and I gave this pick an A simply because I don't know how Jalen Carter is going to translate to the NFL. I know there's character issues off the field. I know that the Combine, it was not the best showing for him, so that's why I gave it an A. I think value here with how he's been ranked, and you get him at 9, I think A+, but I also have to take into account of how I think the player is going to do in the future, and I gave Jalen Carter an A, which is still a phenomenal rating for the Eagles. I thought the Eagles had a very good draft. Once again, they love these Georgia boys. Jalen Carter is an A at pick 9. Chicago Bears trade back once again. They originally had the number 1 pick, traded back to 9, then once again trade back to 10, and they go Darnell Wright at 10. And I gave it a B+. I think Darnell Wright's going to be a good offensive lineman. I think he's got all the tools to do that. But I really think that Skoronski was the pick here. I thought Skoronski was the best available offensive lineman left. I could see why they go Darnell Wright over Skoronski. I think, Skoronski ultimately is going to have to play guard in the NFL. I think his arms are way too short to be a tackle. He's going to have to move towards the inside and be a guard. I think that's inevitable. But Darnell Wright, it might pan out. And I almost think that Broderick Jones was better than Darnell Wright, but I still think Darnell Wright is a stud. I wouldn't have minded if it fell to the Jets at 15. Number 11, I get the Tennessee Titans. They stuck and they picked. I thought this could have been Jackson Smith-Njigba. I thought this could have been Will Levis. Ultimately went O-line and went Peter Skoronski. That probably would have been my third guess for them as far as what they would have done. I gave it an A. I thought this was a really good pick for the Titans. Skoronski's a great lineman. Like I said, I think he's going to have to be a guard. I think he's going to have to move to the inside. I think his arms are way too short to be on the outside and be a tackle, whether it's on the right side or the left side. I think he's got a lot of versatility, though. I think he could play tackle if you need him to play tackle. I think he could play on the left side and he can play on the right side. I think that Skoronski can play anywhere on the offensive line. Maybe not center, but I really like this pick for the Titans. You're going to probably have to hand the ball off to Derrick Henry 50 times a game, but I like this pick a lot for the Titans. At number 12, my first head scratcher of the entire draft, the Lions went Jahmyr Gibbs. They go running back. I gave this a D+. What are you doing? What are they thinking? They picked at 18 as well. They could have went and gotten him at 18. They probably could have gotten him in the 20s, the mid-20s, if they wanted to trade back once again. But they go with him at 12 when they have DeAndre Swift, when they have David Montgomery. What are they thinking? This was a terrible pick. This might have been one of, if not the worst pick of the first round. At the position that they were in, with what they have at the running back position now, This was Christian Gonzalez through and through. There's no cornerback help there. This is Christian Gonzalez. That's who this pick should have been. There's no doubt in my mind. I think they could have went Gonzalez at 6. I think they should have went Gonzalez at 12. Still looking at it, I can't believe they went Jahmyr Gibbs. I thought this was a boneheaded pick. I did not like the pick at all. 13, the Packers go Lucas Van Ness. On the TikTok, I go C+, but I think I might switch this to B- because I think Van Ness is going to be a pretty good player. I mocked Van Ness to the Packers when they were at 15. I did that a couple times. I don't know if I did when they were at 13. I thought Nolan Smith could have been the pick here. Nolan Smith falls ultimately. I even thought that Myles Murphy could have been the pick here. Van Ness, I believe, was rated the best defensive or the best edge available here. So I guess B- here is solid. I think the Packers should have went receiver. I think they should have went Jackson Smith-Njigba. I even thought they should have went Broderick Jones here in this position. The defensive side of the ball was definitely not what I expected the Packers to go with. Like I said, they should have went receiver, man. They got to learn their lesson with Jordan Love to go receiver in the first round. 14, the Steelers move up with the Patriots because Bill Belichick is obsessed with the Jets and didn't want the Jets to get anyone. So the Steelers go Broderick Jones at 14. I give it an A-. I thought moving up to go get an offensive lineman was really good. Back where they were back at 17. The best guy you were going to get was probably Anton Harrison. And you don't want to take him at 17, so they move up to get their guy, and I really like that. I really like when guys move up, or teams move up to get their guys. Broderick Jones here, I give it an A-. I really think this is a good pick. It's going to transform that offensive line and hopefully transform Steeler football in Pittsburgh. At 15, the New York Jets go not Jackson Smith-Njigba, not Nolan Smith, not Myles Murphy, not even Brian Branch. They go Will McDonald the fourth. And I gave it a C. Initially, seeing this pick, I was confused. I was really upset with the pick. The more I look at it, it's not that I'm upset, and still I'm upset with the pick. I'm still very upset that we went Will McDonald at 15. I think Will McDonald could be a good player, but I think we could have traded back and got him. If this was your guy, this seemed like a panic pick to me. This seems like Broderick Jones was the guy at 15. They thought they could get him, and they didn't. And then they panicked and went Will McDonald. This felt like Jackson Smith-Njigba to me. As soon as the Packers went Lucas Van Ness, I thought, great, we get Broderick Jones or Jackson Smith-Njigba. And those were the two guys I was down between and wanting. And then we go Will McDonald off the edge. I don't know what this means for the Jets. I don't know if this means that Carl Lawson's going to be gone. I don't know, man. This was a very questionable pick. They're very high on him. This was their guy, as they say. I don't believe that. But he's a Jet. At 16, the Washington Commanders go Emmanuel Forbes. I give this a D+. This was another head scratcher. When you got Christian Gonzalez sitting right there, I think there's an argument Cam Smith's even better than Emmanuel Forbes. That was a really questionable pick for me. At 16, I think they should have went Gonzalez. They didn't. They go Forbes. And I think this is a scenario where you look at Jalen Reagor and Justin Jefferson a few years back with the Eagles and the Vikings. As you look back and you laugh at the Eagles for going Reagor over Justin Jefferson, and their back-to-back picks. Same here, because the Patriots at 17 go Christian Gonzalez, and I give that an A+, because I think that Christian Gonzalez, like I said, I think Christian Gonzalez is the best corner in this draft. I think Christian Gonzalez is tall, he's long, he reads the ball well, he can jump the pass. I think Christian Gonzalez is the best corner in this draft, and I think he's going to succeed very well in New England. Unfortunately, as a Jets fan, I think he's going to do very well in New England. I think he's the best corner in this draft. I continue to say it. I'll hone it on. I think that the Commanders are going to kick themselves for taking Forbes over Christian Gonzalez. I think the Lions are going to kick themselves for passing on Christian Gonzalez. I think the Falcons might, I think Bijan's going to be a stud. So they might not be too upset about taking Bijan over Christian Gonzalez. But Christian Gonzalez at 17, I did not see a world where he fell that far. I thought he was a top 10 pick. I thought for sure. I thought he had a chance to be the first corner off the board. He falls to 17. That's why I give it an A+. I thought that was a really, really, really good pick. At 18, the Lions had a chance to redeem themselves here a little bit. And they went Jack Campbell, who I thought Drew Sanders is a better linebacker. Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. I'm higher on Drew Sanders, I think, than Jack Campbell. Regardless, Jack Campbell and Drew Sanders, both second-round projections, both second-round talent. I think the linebacker position is becoming more and more undervalued as we go on, this was a questionable pick. I don't know, man. I gave it a D. This was a silly pick to me. This was a reach. They reached twice. This was the worst draft of any team. The Lions had the worst draft of any team. This was a really bad draft for them. They took in my opinion, two second-round talents in the first round, in the first 18 picks. Not a win-now kind of draft. At 19, the Buccaneers go Kelechi Cansey. I gave this pick an A-. I think Cansey is a really good pass rusher. I think he's going to do really well in Tampa Bay. With McDonald going above him is kind of why I made this pick an A-, because if you can get Cansey at 19, I think that's pretty good value. I still think that Nolan Smith is better. I think that there's an argument for Myles Murphy to be better. But I think Cansey is better than Murphy. But I think, like I said, I think the argument's there that Murphy's better. But I really like Cansey coming out of Pittsburgh, and I think that he's going to do really well in Tampa Bay. At 20, the Seattle Seahawks go Jackson Smith and Jigba, first receiver off the board. I give it an A. I think this is really good value. You get Jackson Smith and Jigba, the best receiver in the draft, at pick 20. Receivers fell. I didn't think they'd fall this far. I didn't think Smith and Jigba would fall to the Jets at 15. I certainly didn't think he would fall to 20 to the Seahawks, and he did. Really good pick for the Seahawks. I think this is huge. I like what the Seahawks are building over there in Seattle. I really like what they're building over there. They have a great secondary now with going Devin Witherspoon in the first round. They're going to get Jamal Adams back on that defense. So I think that I'm glad that, I'm almost happy they went Witherspoon over Carter, because now you have more pass rush with Adams coming back, and you get to address the secondary, and then you get to go receiver. And I really like this draft for the Seahawks. The Seahawks had a very, very, very good draft. 21, the Chargers went Quentin Johnston. I don't want to say head scratcher on this, but I also don't think that was the best receiver available. Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison, in my opinion, are both better than Johnston. I think Johnston is big, long, he's slow, and he has trouble catching the ball. I gave it a B- simply because I thought there were two receivers on the board better than him. I think they could have went Michael Mayer. I think that Flowers, Addison, and Mayer were all three better options for the Chargers here. But this is the type of receiver that the Chargers like. You can look at Keenan Allen. You can look at guys they've had in the past. This is really a Chargers type receiver. And, you see how it works out. B- though, for the Chargers. The Ravens at 22. They extend Lamar Jackson a few hours earlier. Biggest deal for a quarterback. They go Zay Flowers. I really liked this pick. I gave it an A-. I still think Jordan Addison's a little bit better. And I'm higher on Jordan Addison than I am Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is just a little undersized for me. So I gave it an A-. Could have given it an A. I could have went him and Addison both A's, I guess. But I go A- simply because I think Addison's a little bit better. But this is a really good pick for the Ravens, because they're addressing the wide receiver position. They're going to have Mark Andrews there. They're going to have Odell Beckham Jr. there. They're going to have Rashad Bateman there. Now that Zay Flowers is a really good receiving core now, and it's transformed in just one offseason. 24, the Vikings go receiver. I thought they could have went defense as well. They go Jordan Addison. I give it an A, because I like Jordan Addison a lot. And you know what? Go score points. You know what I'm saying? That's what every NFL team is doing now. They're conforming to the let's go get a luxury position in the first round with our first pick. They go Jordan Addison. I really like the pick out of USC. It's going to be a really good receiver. Getting him as the fourth receiver in the draft, I think, is a steal. I think he could have went a second receiver in the draft and didn't. But, man, I would have liked to seen a team like the Bills or the Giants or the Chiefs trade up and get him, or get any receiver, and they didn't. They really just sat back and did their thing. I guess the Bills didn't. The Bills ended up trading up. But, man, 4 receivers in a row. It's the first time this ever happened, so I really like this a lot. This is a lot of fun. 24, New York Giants go Deonte Banks. Banks at 24 I think is very good. I think he's a lot better than Emmanuel Forbes. Give it a B+, just because I think the Giants could have – I don't think they could have went tight end with getting Darren Waller. I think this was probably the best pick for them. I could have seen an argument for Brian Branch. Could have seen an argument to go defensive line. But I really like corner for the Giants. And Deonte Banks, I think, is a very good pick for them. Number 25, the Bills trade up with the Jaguars to go Dalton Kincaid. I gave it a C-, man. What are you doing? Michael Mayer is there. Michael Mayer is the clear-cut best tight end in this draft, and he didn't even go in the first round. I think that's a joke. I think it's an absolute terrible look for teams that went tight end, which was only one. But the fact that a tight end was drafted above Michael Mayer is a joke. It's ridiculous. It is unbelievable. I can't believe it happened. There's no argument that you can present to me that tells me there's a tight end in that draft better than Michael Mayer. So the Bills go Dalton Kincaid. I think it's a reach. I think they were scared of the Cowboys going Kincaid. Cowboys go Mozzie Smith. Gave it a C on the TikTok. I think I'm going to bump it up to a C+, though, now that I'm thinking about it. You got to get a guy in there to stop Jalen Hurts. I thought it was funny seeing Micah Parsons say no more QB sneaks when they drafted Mozzie Smith. So I think it's a decent pick. Again, I think there's better guys on the defensive line you could have went with that still are falling. Somehow they're falling. I don't know, man. It's something else. I can't believe that some of these guys fell. What a crazy draft. 27, the Jaguars go Anton Harrison. Gave his pick a C. I think this was Brian Branch all the way. You got to upgrade that secondary. That's who I think they should have went with. I'm not mad, I guess, that they went O-line here, but yeah, I think they could have even went Osiris Torrance in the first round. But Anton Harrison's the pick. Final offensive lineman drafted in the first round. 28, the Bengals go Myles Murphy. Again, a head scratcher for me. I give this pick a C+. I think Murphy's more of a potential pick anyways, as it is. But also, again, could have went tight end here. Tight end was the pick for the Bengals. If you asked me a month ago who they were picking, I would have said Michael Mayer. If you had asked me going into the draft who they're picking, I would have said Michael Mayer if he's there. Michael Mayer was there. They go defense. Blew my mind. It blew my mind. So I gave it a C+, simply because I'm mad that Michael Mayer fell out of the first round. I think it's a terrible thing for the NFL. I think it's a terrible thing. 29, the Saints go Brian Brzee. I gave this an A. I thought this was a really good pick for the Saints. Getting him at 29 when he could have, Brzee could have went really high. Brzee could have went really high in this draft, and he falls to 29. Thought this was Will McDonald, but the Jets went Will McDonald at 15. So you can't get him when he goes, oh, Jesus, what a reach. 30, the Eagles go Nolan Smith. I gave this an A+. I thought this was a really good pick for them. I mocked Eagles go Nolan Smith at 10, and they get him at 30. So they're rebuilding the Georgia Bulldogs defense from 2021, one of the best defenses in college history, and they're rebuilding that one draft at a time. So A+. Chiefs go Felix Anudike Uzama at 31. I probably just butchered that name, and if I did, I apologize. I gave it a B. Defense for the Chiefs here. I really thought they would trade up and go receiver. They didn't. They're going to have to address that in the second round or with their later picks in the draft. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure where the Chiefs are picking at next. They're going to have to address wide receiver. They lost Juju Smith-Schuster. They lost Mecole Hardman. All they got is Travis Kelce there right now, man. And I'm intrigued to see how they address the receiver position in this draft and moving forward. So I give that a B. All in all, I thought the draft was really entertaining. I love the NFL draft. The NFL draft's always fun. And I thought this year had a lot of hype. And I thought it lived up to all the expectations. I really love this draft. I think there's a lot of great talent in the second round. Second round starts again today. I'm very excited. Like I said, I think a lot of talent still on the board. I think a lot of teams can upgrade their squads immediately today in the second and third rounds. And I'm very intrigued to see what direction some teams go. But yeah, I thought this was a really good draft, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know who you thought had the best draft, and how did your team do? It's Off the Tracks. Peace.